watching us live the 27th day of July 2020. It's a Monday, a bright Monday morning here in Kampala. Welcome to The Light, another edition, another episode. Exciting topic, nice discussion. And I want to just say thank you so much for keeping it divine focused and The Light. I'm your host, Owinj Both Innocent. And today we will be looking at what we will call young adolescents away from home. What is how are these young people behaving in the absence of their parents? How are these young people behaving in the absence of the elders, of their relatives, the people who look over them or who take care of them? So how are you as a parent trying to prepare your child, live a life that is equivalent with the way they live in your presence? So that's the discussion we are going to be having today. And I want to thank you once again for joining us. So today we are looking at specifically that. How are you training your child? How are you training your boy or your girl to live a life in your absence? Imagine today something happens to you. How are you preparing your 16-year-old, your 17-year-old boy or girl to live a life that is thrilling, a life that is successful, a life that is pleasing to you in your absence? How much effort are you taking to prepare your child? Let's look at the worst case scenario, that something happens to you. You leave home very early in the morning, going to work, and you don't return, basically. Maybe you're involved in an accident and you pass on. How certain are you that your child is going to be able to manage life in your absence very successfully, just like you have been able to do it as a parent? It's what we are. Sometimes we need to imagine the worst scenarios in life. That how is my child going to manage a society of unemployment, a society of competition? The lives of young adolescents. So the time we are living in is very critical. We are living at a very sad hour. Very painful scenarios happen every single day that leave most of us regretting and asking the questions of why. So today, let's look basically at that. As a parent, have you taken the time to critically look through and think through how your child is going to survive in this harsh, in this immoral, in this wicked society in your absence? Are you preparing them to live in that society? Are you preparing them to live in that environment, to cope in such a competitive world? I know you're giving them the best when it comes to education. But with this unemployment, what are you thinking? Are you having some thoughts outside the box to ensure that it's not just that you're offering them, you're giving them some skills beyond just classroom knowledge? Today is the 27th, and we have only this week remaining for July to come to an end. Basically, the year has come to an end. We do not know yet the future of our education for this year, 2020. We are waiting. We don't know when the head of the state will speak again. But as you're at home, sometimes I would advise parents not to think so much about what will happen and when will schools open. But as your children are still at home, how are you trying to use this opportunity to prepare them to thrive, to manage life? Because you have had an opportunity to train your children with some additional skills away from home. Away from school. You have had an opportunity to train them some skills that will able to handle them. To take care of them, to defend them, to protect them in this uncertain world that we live in today. So I would like every parent to look at this opportunity at this time with their children at home as a very golden opportunity to speak life, to speak sense, to speak, to encourage, to motivate, to add something different into the lives of your children. What I'm pushing for today basically is, how is your child going to manage life away from you? Are you the kind of parent who is training his or her child to live in a society of remote control? You want to manage, you want to know whatever your child is doing at a particular time. What we're saying is, we need to train our children to have that independent thinking. We need to embrace, we need to encourage independent thinking, where the boys and the girls are given the opportunity to think independently, to have their creative thoughts, to have their creative imaginations, to think of things that they best fit. It's like accepting who they are. We need to allow our children to be who they are. And that is very important. Because if you get to know your child for who he is, for who she is, it becomes very easy for you, even in your absence, they get to understand you in your absence, far out from where you are. You get to know that my son is this kind of person, and this is how he or she is good at handling situations. Or my daughter is this kind of person, and this is how good she is at handling situations. At certain points in time, we need to give our children the ability to give their opinions pertaining certain incidences that happen in life. We need to create a platform where our children think from the point of view of who they are, where they're able to explain things. You ask them what they think about a particular situation, scenario, and let them give you their perspective. Because when we encourage the behavior of independent thinking, we are raising our children to be independent thinkers. Boys and girls who think out of the box. Such people will manage life even when you are out of this life. When God, the author of life, calls you home, your child, whom you have trained to think in a way that is independent, will learn to think and behave in that manner. That he or she is able to live in a society that is real, that is true. They are not people who are going to hustle around with life. You're going to train them to live in a society where they know they are intentional. They will do things with focus, with intentionality. That is the advantage of raising men and women who are independent thinkers. Give your children the platform to think away from the usual. Give your children the platform to think outside the box. And that is very simple. Sometimes you have to give them tasks and abilities and assignments that will make them think out. You don't need to always put things like what I will call spoon feeding children. It's not a very good thing, because when you spoon feed your children always, they will reach a point that in your absence they cannot do anything apart from you, and you're limiting them. You can create an environment where you are able to train your children. You're able to train your children, to come to you for approval of certain things that they want to do or they think of doing. But you cannot make them to be totally dependent on you. You cannot train your children to totally depend on you. You can train your children, you can become more of like someone who approves of what they are doing, but you cannot train them to like that apart from me you can do nothing. If we train our children that way, we are training them to head into the path that is very dangerous for their lives. It's going to be hard for them to cope up in this harsh society, tough society away from you. That is why children who have gotten used to being controlled by parents, who have gotten used to being managed, supervised by parents, their parents make the decisions, dictate upon their lives. They find it hard to cope up with life away from them. Drugs, because now they cannot manage life away from their parents, sometimes they find themselves getting involved into some lifestyles and behavior which is not acceptable by society. The lifestyle of drugs, alcoholism has taken over the system of most young people of our time. And that is the reason why, and that goes back to the way we are raising our people. Knowing the society that we are living in, it is going to be very necessary, very important for you sometimes to train your children to cope up with stress. You need to train your children to deal with stress. You need to train your children to deal with frustration, with disappointments. You prepare them ahead of time. You are sure that your training at the end of the day is able to sustain the life of this boy, of this girl. The value of independence, the value of raising independent thinkers is very, very vital. How shall we live and hold our dignity? How shall we live in a society and hold our integrity? That we are not driven away by the tough times that we find ourselves in, the tough situations that we find ourselves absorbed in. We need to raise that generation. We need to raise that the kind of people, the kind of century, the people of the next generation that will be able to maneuver life without lowering down their values, their dignity, their respect, their honor, the dignity of a human being. That aspect of us is very important. Independent thinkers live a life of honor. They live lives of dignity. Their lifestyle alone is able to earn them some respect in society. By the way they live their lives, they are able to command respect. They are able to command people who just value them, see value in them, see respect in them. So, How are we able to raise our young people to think outside the box? What are you doing as a parent to ensure that your child is thinking different from the normal, from the usual way everyone else is thinking? When we are thinking that the only solution to handle a particular situation is this or that, train your child to think totally different from what everyone else is thinking. The culture, we should stop following this thing of bandwagon. Because when all of us fall into a problem, the possibility is high all of us will land there. But when you train your child to think away from the majority, your child is going to manage to live, he or she will not face the same situation that everyone else is facing. Because he is able to see the problem ahead of time and find a solution to that. Independent thinkers. These are creative people. They don't just follow when everyone is chasing something in this angle. For them, they're chasing something different. Independent thinkers are men and women who always want to find solutions to problems. They don't whine and complain like others whine and do. For them, they are more of solution givers. They want to find solution to every problem. And for you to find a solution to a problem, you don't have to think like everyone else is thinking. It is very possible to say, you're young in the body, you're young by the way you look, but when your soul is too old, by the way you think and act, by the way you reason out things, by the way you handle situations, it must show some level of maturity, some level of that someone has reached a level of adulthood. For adulthood, being an adult is being ready for responsibilities. And responsibilities are the things that will show whether you are a man or you are a boy, whether you're a woman or you're still a girl. Independent thinkers are leaders that will run or manage organizations, companies, in and out of seasons, whether things are tough or not. They are always there finding a way out. They are always there finding solutions to problems. They are managing because they think if you tell them this is impossible, an independent thinker will listen to you, will note it down. But he goes ahead to find a solution beyond what you are talking about. They are unique human beings. They are totally different kind of people. And they embrace that attitude about them. It's the greatest treasure you can ever give your child, to think independent from the majority. Independent thinkers are men and women who survive in the hardest times possible because they know how to go about. Independent thinkers are trained to see beyond. In our toolkit of identity, we discuss something about envisioning, the art of envisioning. And it is out of independent thinking that you are able to envision lives. You are able to envision societies in the next 10, in the next 5, in the next 50 years to come. You're able to see something that people around you are not seeing. You're able to look at the future of your generation in 100 years to come. That by the time I clock 50, I must be here or there. I must be having this and that. You are trained to think independent. You are trained to think different from others. When others are saying it is impossible to do this, an independent thinker is saying there must be a solution somewhere. In a time when there is a lot of crisis, like it has been for the last 4 months, the COVID-19, the lockdown, and all these things, as everyone is complaining, everyone is whining, yes, it is true that there has been, but there is something good in that broken piece. There are some things that are good in those broken pieces that can be put together, mended together to come to produce something valuable. That is the mind of an independent thinker. He thinks, he sees ways where there is no way. Where you're saying it is impossible to do something, a man or woman who is an independent thinker is saying there has got to be a solution. They always believe, they are positive, they are optimistic about life. They wake up with an energy that today is going to be a great day. Even when they don't see it, I would go ahead and say such people have the greatest faith in life. If they say that everyone is wicked, every young person is immoral, every young person has fallen from the standard, an independent thinker is going to say there has to be even one person who is morally upright. They've said today, young people, it's hard to find a virgin at our time. At the age maybe 30, 25 or 40. But I will tell you the truth. Even at the times of the greatest crisis, there has got to be something. And that is the mind of an independent thinker. They are positive. They are positive about life. Let me take you a story of Elijah in the Bible, Prophet Elijah, at the time when they had killed all the prophets. And Elijah also was scared, and he says that he told God, they have killed all your prophets. You know, they're killing all the prophets, and all the other prophets have bowed down to Baal. And God tells you, you're not the only one who is remaining. There are still 7,000 more who have not bowed down to this God. And that's just an example. I want to tell you that in every crisis, there has got to be a solution. There has got to be a way out. There has got to be something unique that a man or woman can come out with. When they say every young person cannot be trusted because they think we do not have the experience, we do not have the trainings, we don't have the qualifications to do certain things right. There is this one person that will still stand. Another example I will give you quickly. The example of King David. King David was about 17 years when he was appointed or anointed to become the king of Israel. But who could imagine that there could be a young boy who has the capability of running a nation? A young boy at 17, able to run a nation. He did not know he had the capability. He did not know he had the power. He did not know he had the ability to do what he could do. But someone had noticed. Even in the process, if you read that story very well in the book of Samuel. I mean, with Prophet Samuel and all these things. The story is when Samuel was doing the anointing and all the, he was looking at the able man in the family. But then God comes and tells him, man will always look on the outside, but I, God, will look in the interior of the heart. I know the intention. I choose my people depending on the intention of their hearts. So I want to tell you, an independent thinker is also always giving other people second chances. They believe that something good can come out. Yes, you failed yesterday. That doesn't mean that you'll always fail. You betrayed me today. Does not mean that you'll betray me tomorrow. Maybe there is a reason. They always want to give people the second chances. Give them a listening ear. What are you saying? What happened? Why did you do the things that you did? Look at Jesus Christ, the son of Joseph, the son of man. He knew that Judas Iscariot was to betray him. That one he knew. But he ate with Judas. He did everything he could with Judas. Even he knew that Judas was stealing, because Judas was their treasurer, the accountant of their time. Even he knew that Judas was stealing from the treasury, from the box. But he kept that relationship with Judas. So I want to say, independent thinkers are not quick to judge, are not quick to condemn. They look at things. They analyze things. They take their times to analyze, to critically look through situations before they could jump into conclusion, before they could jump into, make a decision. They look critically into how something is going on, how something is flowing. So it is very important to train our children to survive in tough moments, to make decisions where everyone thinks it's hard to make. And that is where the uniqueness of humanity is. That is where we stand out to be unique. When everyone is saying everyone is corrupt, a nation is corrupt, everything, when a child is raised who is able to maintain his or her integrity, even at the cost of maybe losing a job, losing a relationship, such a person is to be praised. Such a person is to be honored, respected. And such people command respect. So how are you raising your child as a parent to manage a society of great crisis, of great wickedness, of rejection, of disappointments, of losses, of poverty? How are you training these children to live in such society that their lights of transformation will not be able to go dim, and their salt of influence will not lose its saltness? The responsibility of a great nation, the responsibility of a better Uganda, of a better Africa, of a better universe is entirely right now in the hands of parents. And parenting is a very, very vital aspect for as long as the development of society is concerned. So we need to develop our people. We need to raise our people. We need to establish that foundation where they are able to live a life that they are able to survive in the tough times, because right now, like I mentioned earlier, that before COVID, we were at 25%. Imagine the life after the lockdown. Imagine the life after the COVID-19. How many young girls are becoming pregnant, are conceiving within this period? Are girls going to return to school the same? Are girls going to return to schools the same way they left schools and came back home? And how many young girls are returning back to school after the COVID is done? Has that situation, has that thing ever crossed your mind to think of the lives of these innocent souls, of these young boys, of these young girls, away from home? Have you imagined the life of your child in your absence? Are you training, are you giving them the skills that is able to enable them survive in a society without your control, without your supervision, without your decision, that they're able to make right decisions, moral and upright decisions, that other people are able to look at them and learn from and say, I would like to be like that one. That other children maybe look and say, I wish, I wish. When you put your children at the point of I wish, you may be even killing them. Because when we start to admire the lifestyle in the neighborhood, in the next family, it means that our children are losing. They're not seeing the value in their own family. So we need to train them to be people who think beyond the normal circumstance. We need to train our people to think beyond what everyone else is thinking and is saying and is believing about young people. It's not true that we are all, they always say, the frog that goes beyond, the first frog spoils water for the rest. So it doesn't mean that because the majority who are making the noise have portrayed the generation in a certain way. That does not mean that there is no, even among rotten eggs, there is always the good egg. There are always good eggs in the rotten ones. Only that the rotten ones will smell beyond capacity. That you may, if you don't critically look at them, you may fail to identify which one is rotten and which one is good. Even one rotten egg its smell alone can be able to overshadow the 5 good eggs. Remember, there are 6 eggs, only 1 egg is bad. But its smell is able to make the other 6, the other 5, not even to be noticed. So I want to tell you, and I want to encourage you young people, not because everyone is doing it does not mean that it's right. Stick to the moral values of your society. Respect and honor your parents and leaders. Parents, give children the platform to think, to reason, to make decisions. It's the only way you are going to raise people to stand out in your absence. In my conclusion, I say, independent thinkers survive even in the harsh and toughest situations in life. I want to thank you so much for you who took the time to watch us live. You have always watched us live. Thank you so much. And for those who have not been able to catch us live, this video is going to be on the DF.TV Facebook page. We are on YouTube also. Share if this message is vital to you. Share to your friends, share to your neighbors, share to the people you think could find this information useful and valuable. And second and lastly, like our Facebook page. Like our Facebook page, follow us on Facebook, follow us on, like our channel on YouTube, and let's keep in touch. Every day, the light is running on this platform. Thank you for keeping it Divine TV. My name is Owinchboth Innocent. Have a blessed week ahead. See you tomorrow. Bye.